Darzy's Fair, and welcome back. This is the second episode about how to do a fabric wrap. In this one I'll actually show you how I'm cutting the fabric I painted last week into strips and then how I'm sewing them together, and you'll see the look it will give me in readiness to start stitching hopefully next time I see you. So come down to my desk and see what I'm up to. So the fabric I printed is now all dry and I've ironed it, so that's good. I've also done something similar in blue, in these lovely blue sort of tealy colours. Whether I use them or not, I'm not sure. It's the sort of scrap fabric, so I won't show you that because it's all just bits of scrap I've printed on, but it's basically the same sort of printing but in the sort of tealy blues. And then I've collected together a stash of bits in my basket. So here's my basket full of bits. So this is my visual inspiration. And now I've got here, so to go with my fabric, let me put my fabric back in, just to give you an idea. Just fold that a little bit. So I've got some, I've painted these up in the same colours, and I've done that in the sort of reds as well. So I've got some oranges, I've got some reds, and I've got this blue. And then to correspond with all that, I have got some of these. They're actually crochet. I might couch them, not entirely sure how, but what I've decided to do is I'm going to go for rich tones and cool tones, but still in the orange blue, because orange and blue are the opposites. I've also got this, I don't know where I picked that up from, somewhere at some point, which has got both of them in, which is lucky. I've also got some hand embroidery. These are like rayons. I've got some, this is silk. I've got that in there. So I've got orange and blue silks. I've got some glitter. I've got another paler orange in the silk. I've also got some fabrics that I can layer up. So I've got these all just snippets out of my snippet jars. Those of you who have seen my videos before know I have sweetie jars full of little bits and bobs. So little snippets. I've even got some ribbon in there. I've got some textures as well. I'm not sure how much of this I'll incorporate. It's a case of putting it on and seeing. So I've got them in orange, and I've also got stuff in blue. So blue and the orange together, got a nice zing to it. I've also got some hand dyed, not by me, but I've obviously picked it up from somewhere, sort of a ribbony thing. Another, I think these are knitting yarns, but I'll couch them down and things like that. I've also got some snippets. These are all waste from my, I made a scarf in lace, believe it or not, in wools. And then I've got some, this is Sandra Beach's hand dyed. Got quite a bit of that. I've also got some more rayons in the oranges, and I wasn't sure whether to introduce the pink. I think that's a case of I'm going to have to wait and see when I get there. So I've got all these different, I've even got some, not sure what that is, I picked that up from somewhere, different threads I can couch with, some nets I can layer up with, fabrics I can layer up with. So the next step is to cut this in strips. So I'm going to measure this, and then I'm just going to, I don't know whether to tear it or to use, it's going to work out. I reckon I can get one, two, I reckon I can get four of this out of there. So once I've done that, I'll show you. I've already cut one straight edge here, so I'm going to line that up with a line on my mat. I'm going to measure in just shy of the 2-inch mark, making sure that's straight. cut that. I have to say, cutting into this is quite scary. So that's my first strip. I'm going to line that up here. I might just double check it fits my bobbin. Yep. Do that. Line that up. That's my next strip. So I could do with those multiple strip cutters. Okay, so now I have got all these beautiful strips. Thinking ahead to other projects, what's quite nice is you could reassemble these strips and you've got another background again. Look at that. But yeah, I'm going to sew these all together. I'm going to pick areas where I've got solid colour, put it near a place where it's not so solid, and then you can see how that will become a roll. I've cut them all into strips, and I'm now going to combine. I am going to use the little bits of scrap of the blue that I've cut into strips, and because they were scraps, they've actually automatically come out with an angle, which is great for me because it means I can almost like do a spliced effect, so the transition is smoother. And all I'm doing is I'm using my cutting mat to make sure the line is straight, and I'm just going to put a pin in it. And I should do that all the way along the length of my roll, and then I shall just do a simple, I could either hand tack it or machine stitch it flat. And then these transition points I can either stitch across it with some embroidery, or I can incorporate some of this sort of webbing effect. I've finished tacking. This is, I just used regular sewing thread and a needle. Did it by hand in the end. I was going to pull my sewing machine out, but then I concluded. I've already wound it on. At the moment I haven't stuck this together, so I'll have to stick it together. But I'm just going to show you so far how it's looking. There's no stitching or anything on it yet. Got transitions, you can see those transition points will have stitching across, they'll have the netting across. I should do all sorts. But I've already got a base fabric now with all different textures and designs and ideas for me to consider. And it goes on and on and on and on. And what I've done is I've transitioned between the blue and the orangey red. I've got some fibres caught up at the moment because it's not fully made. So I'm just going to dismantle my bobbin. You can see all the lovely textures and shapes that I can play around with stitching. What I've tried to do is I've tried to balance areas of solid colour pattern, and then there's like a break, and then there's some mark making. So I've mixed it up so the piece keeps changing and there's a nice transition. So next time you see it, I will hopefully start to give you some stitch ideas.